it's so beautiful. So let me see if we can have a conversation. And I want you guys to tell me whether you value this stat or not, whether it means what I think it means or not. So flipping channels yesterday, Correa comes to the plate. No, I'm not going to do a Correa topic or an I told you so topic. That's not what this is. It was the idea of, Correa is just bumping along doing what he does. He plays winning baseball. He's a difference maker. And he's hit 13 home runs, which sadly would lead the Tigers. Your leader has 9. And I started thinking about it's like, man, not only does this team not have any power, but I don't remember the last time they did. So I go, who led the team in homers last year? You go and you look, and it's, oh my God, was it Robbie Grossman at 23 or something like that?
Yeah.
So I go, when's the last time they had a guy hit 30 bombs? And I go to 2021. And then in fairness, the COVID year in 20, all right, nobody hit 30, but you go to 2019, nobody. 2018, nobody. 2017, nobody. You got to go all the way back to 2016 to when the Detroit Tigers had a player hit 30 home runs. That was Miguel Cabrera. Now, why is that relevant? Well, I checked the rest of the division. Because let's face it, Kansas City's had some real low points, and they're not known as a power team. White Sox, Guardians, and the Twins. When did the Royals have a guy hit 30? Last year. When did the Twins have a guy hit 30? Last year. When did the White Sox have a guy hit 30? You guessed it, last year. Well, how about the Guardians? They stink. Last year. Everyone else in this division, which is a terrible division, has had a guy hit 30. Now, why am I obsessing over home runs?
I don't know, Mike. The dimensions of Comerica Park.
No, see, why? Why would you even say that? Let me help you.
That's what I always hear.
Well, that's because people are idiots. Do you understand that if you look at park factor, Comerica is in the middle of the pack. It is viewed as a neutral hitter's park. Not a great hitter's park, not a terrible hitter's park. Neutral. No one ever talked about the park when we had good ball players.
Fair.
Miggy hit 38 bombs in 2016. So why am I focused on power? I'll tell you why. Because it's where the game is. Launch angle, exit velo, all the things you hear. And I think about this stuff where it's like, it's not enough to tell you that Avila is terrible. It's not enough to complain about the free agent signings or complain about the trades. It's like those narratives are written. They're done. But I do think back to when Al took this job, how he talked about he was going to reshape the franchise. Talked about how they were going to bring him out of the dark ages. They were going to get the analytics caught up to speed, that they were going to become a modern organization. Here's what I find absolutely jarring. Not only is the wins and losses, like it's not going well, we know this. And even if you want to say, well, the pitching, the injuries, and diddly-doddly-do, 45 of the 95 games this season, they've scored 2 runs or less. This offense is, in fact, impotent. But the idea that you haven't had a 30-home run hitter, not 40, not 50, right? No one's sitting here saying, well, Salvi Perez had 48 last year. When's the last time you had 48? We're not even playing that game. 30. The tried and true barometer for power hitters in this game. I don't want to hear, well, this guy had 27. It's not 30. Well, this guy had 26 and missed time. It's not 30. The teams in your division have 30 home run hitters multiply. Guys, I think this is arguably the most damning thing you can point out because I think it points out top-down organizational failure. That all the things that Al was supposed to build behind the scenes, forget about the trades, forget about the free agent signings, Rico, forget about no one likes Chris Ilitch. Just leave it all alone. He was brought here to fix the team's way of developing players.
Right.
The way of modernizing to the game where, Rico, face it, I know it's not the NL that you grew up with, but it's all about hitting. You got to hit bombs.
Yeah.
Rico, 6 years for an American League team. And it's going to be 7. Not going to have anybody hit 30 home runs this year. They're going to go into 2023. It'll be what, year 7 or 8, having nobody hit 30 bombs. Then I ask you again, who's going to hit 30 home runs next year? Who you got? Think Cabrera's doing it? You think Baez is doing it? Scope won't even be here. Grossman won't even be here. Torkelson hasn't proven he can hit a fastball, and Riley Green really doesn't have much power so far.
That's true.
So my point to you is, am I making too much of it, not enough of it, or just the right amount as I print that on Al's gravestone?
Just the right amount.
248-539-9797.
No, I think it is the fact that they cannot score we said they scored 2 runs or less. But we've now had to see a position player out there finishing a game now for the 8th time this year. This is a tough watch. It's hard. It's hard to stay motivated with this team. But, yeah, you can't even get somebody to hit home runs. And when you first sent me that over the weekend, it was seriously, that can't be right.
It's real.
But it is. But when you juxtapose that about everybody else in your division, as bad as they are, Royals, yep. Guardians, yep. Twins, yeah, everybody.
I'm not making that up. Like, let's face it, they're gonna get I mean, they got San Diego here, Toronto coming up. They're 20 games under 500. They move beyond it. They don't even play interesting baseball. Like, oh, would you be happy if they were losing 10-7? No, I wouldn't be happy. I'd be happier because it would suggest that they'd actually had a functional offense. Rico, we're looking at a historically bad offense in year 7 of a rebuild. And in Al's entire tenure, basically, they haven't had a guy hit 30 home runs.
Wow.
How can this man collect a check? How?
When you put it that way, yeah, that is his tenure, and nobody hit 30.
And the one guy who hit 30 was 2016. He had already been here a decade. So I don't want to hear about that. What have you brought to the organization in your time, by any measure, any means? He hasn't been able to find a single human being to hit 30 home runs. How?
Yeah, Grossman. Close.
I don't want to hear about close. There ain't no close. You either got the job or you didn't.
Well, here's the damning part about that is it's, as you said, this is now baseball. It's the launch angle.
Yeah, and we had a juiced ball era, and they still couldn't find a guy to hit 30 home runs. And then here's the other thing you can juxtapose it with, and it was a confusing. I want to give Rieger credit. Rieger sent this to us, and it is how do I describe this? Well, he also sent me that apparently tomorrow is Fire Al night at the ballpark. I don't know if that's a thing, but
it is a thing. It's been coming across our texts all day.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And you know why I say good? Because someone's got to wake this owner up. Here's what you can do too, right? I understand for the people who go, well, what difference would it make? It would just make me feel better. But you could just say straight up, Al's going to be taking an executive role and move upstairs. You could show the people you're making a change. And I think we all know it'll be an internal candidate. It might be Sam Menzen, the guy that originally was from Houston, right? That's AJ's guy. But my point is, Rieger sent this cross-section of farm system age. You want your farm system to be young. Tigers have the oldest farm system in baseball. And when I juxtapose that with no one's coming to help you, that's a real bad problem. That's how you end up with Cody Clemens coming to help you, or Pete Carpenter, or Bob Kreider, or whatever other nonsense that Tiger fans will clamor for. Rico.
The average age is what, 26?
I think it was 24 and change, but that you can pull his graph up. It gave me a headache. But here's the point I'm making to you guys. You're driving around. How do I phrase it? Is this opening your eyes to the level of damage that Al has done to this franchise? I guess that's my question. We all know Al is bad, right? It's like saying I don't know, like, if a person doesn't like broccoli, broccoli sucks. We know. But when you start to look at this and you look at the depth, Al has turned this thing into the Lions under Millen.